Hello, everybody. This is the Chocolate News Podcast. I'm your co-host, John Alexander Reese.
And I'm your co-host, Andria Carter.
And if you did not know, the Cincinnati Herald has been around since 1955 and is the leading African American owned newspaper in the greater Cincinnati area and northern Kentucky area. How's it going, Andrea?
It's going fine. It is almost the holiday weekend.
I
Yes.
know. I can't wait. Although this
It-
air quality is killing me, I have to admit.
I know. I mean, my allergies have, as I get older, my allergies get worse.
Mm,
And I'm like, what's up with the smoke and the air?
I know.
And as they say that this world is a small place, it is a small place when we're breathing other people's smoke. So
Yeah. Well,
usually that
hopefully.
happens in other situations. You think about other people's smoke for the secondhand smoke effect. We're not getting that. So no.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully you're inside listening to this because it's like air quality is like 196. So stay safe out there, folks.
Oh well, see, I was out picking up litter earlier today. So I was, I was out there with sunglasses and
uh,
I was like, oh yeah, it's a little smoky out there. Okay, I was all about picking up litter. So
yeah.
what can I
No.
say?
Yeah.
And in fact, my friends were warning me like, put on a mask, breathe safe. I was like, oops, too late.
All right. So Andrea, what's the chocolate news of the week?
It is we well one it's an eclectic mix of local and national mix that I have for you all this week. I'm gonna start off with a sad note. It was a big story that we talked about somewhat last week when it was just beginning of the story on the Titan submarine that everyone was looking for as it was going down to the old Titanic shipwreck.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we learned like toward the end of like over the weekend, that the Titan suffered a catastrophic implosion, which is so sad to hear that the people who were in that submarine lost their life. But luckily, they didn't suffer because it was so catastrophic that, from what the experts said, that it was over in a blink of an eye. So they
Yeah.
never, you know, you don't think about the pressure that the water has on something as you go down into the depths of the ocean. And the more you go down, the harder the pressure is pushing in on everything. So you have to think about, what our Navy folks go through living in those submarines, patrolling our oceans and doing what they need to do on behalf of the United States. So I have a greater appreciation for them, for both our naval ships and for our submarines. We just have to keep them that they're being safe. Think of the pressure, but it's just so sad what happened of something that was homemade, trying to advance education, tourist dollars, things like that, and people died. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens next step, though the submersible industry is watching the investigation very carefully to see what will come out of it, and also how there might be some regulation of the industry, but also maybe strengthen how strong these submersible vehicles need to be going to deep depths of the ocean for tourists, as a tourist attraction, or also as a research attraction. So it's going to be interesting to watch, but it's just a sad situation.
Yeah, but the main thing I got out of this is don't skimp on safety. Safety is most important. No one wants to do it, but you can't skimp on your safety because that's life or death right there. So that's the biggest thing I got from this.
Yes, don't skip on safety. And on top of that, I had a concern when I saw some of the early reports about the submersible, and it was run by a video game controller.
Yeah, a
I
third
had an
party video
inkling,
game controller.
right? And it was like,
No, no, thank you.
no.
I'll pass.
there's not enough money for me to, I mean, there's danger in anything that we do, whether we fly or not, but at least we know an airplane is not flown by a video game controller.
Yeah, and they're regulated too.
Right. So there probably needs to be better regulation. But it's a new industry. Well, I shouldn't say a new industry, but it's probably, this is a new segment of the industry when it comes to tourist travel. And I think they're going to have to take a look at the regulation and go from there.
Right.
So there's that. The next chocolate news we have is the various, Supreme Court is at the end of its term. So, we're hearing all kinds of decisions being released on how it's going to affect our lives, things like that. And the biggest thing that occurred was the upholding of the Supreme Court upheld the Voting Rights Act, and the cases regarding gerrymandering in Alabama and in Louisiana were ruled against the states, and both were ordered to go back and redraw their maps because they infringed on the rights of the Black voter. Now, whether or not they're going to redraw those maps effectively, but basically they were chastised. You cannot do what they did. And on top of that, it also approved the theory of that for federal elections, the states had the authority to overrule certain elections if they didn't go a certain way or something like that.
Right.
And the Supreme Court said, nope, you can't do that, which was a theory presented by Trump supporters regarding an attempt to overthrow the elections, or at least dictate who wins a federal election versus a state election. And so it's been surprising how the Supreme Court has been ruling what is stated a very conservative court, but they're upholding a few liberal issues, so to speak. I think they're looking at the greater good. But at the same time, everyone's saying just because they rule this way doesn't mean they'll rule again this way down the road.
Exactly.
So it's an if and or, like we got it this time, but we may not win it next time. And there's more coming down the pike. So I think we just have to look at how arguments are crafted, and what people might think is an old hat or shouldn't be anymore. The Supreme Court seems to be upholding the rule of law. They didn't do it for Roe v. Wade, but they're doing it for the Voting Rights Act, and also on state authority. They're looking at that lower courts have the right to rule on elections that involve federal elections. So, that rule, they've upheld their own court system, so to speak. So that's good. But we're still awaiting decisions on student debt, affirmative action. And I think there are a couple of other business cases that were coming up that we're awaiting decisions on. So hopefully we'll hear those in a few days, and we'll be able to talk about that the next time we have our podcast. So there's that. And then the next up for our chocolate news, I'm going to call this the case of 45 not knowing when to shut up.
Oh yeah.
Most people, and I have to qualify that and say not most people, but regular people usually take the advice of an attorney.
Usually.
And when they say don't say anything, let's just work the case to build a good defense. You don't want to give the other side of the argument anything else to use against you.
Yeah.
That's standard argument, debate, what have you. Then you have Donald Trump.
Yep.
And, he's been indicted on the classified documents he refused to return to the federal government. He is the first former president to be indicted. And so now he's on a PR campaign to show that, I was right, they're wrong. I'm being, the big thing was I'm being indicted on behalf of you. And he's going through all this on behalf of the American people. How is it that the documents you weren't supposed to have you refuse to give back, but you're bragging about is on behalf of the American people. He's offering up weak arguments that people are believing for some godforsaken reason. Why, I don't know.
Because people can be dumb, like really dumb,
I
and easily manipulated.
yes, I understand that because I mean because of marketing. Yes, we're all easily manipulated depending on what marketing campaign you take a liking to.
Yeah, but there has to
Um,
be a line somewhere. That's to
there
draw the
has
line.
well, but you know what? There has to be a line of when someone presents to you over and over again who they really are. Why are you defending them? If Donald Trump was black, there would be no question he would be in jail right now.
Oh
We wouldn't
yes.
even be going through this argument.
Oh yes.
You know, even though a few woke people will say, "Oh no, that's not true." Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's
As
true.
someone who lives in two different worlds, yes, it is. You
Yeah.
know, those of us who understand what the real world is, this way and that way, we recognize that. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is special. He grew up with money. He's made more money, and now he's trying to hold on to his money and get other people to pay for his stuff while holding on to what he's got left. But I'll just say this: the more he opens his mouth, the more Jack Smith, as the special prosecutor for the federal government, is proving his case. And I think the fact that Donald Trump was saying it's political, it's this and that, his supporters are saying all this, but then when you come out with a video, with a audio tape of you being recorded, showing some documents to people helping to someone write a book, and you admit, yeah, these are classified, but yeah, I'm no longer president, so I can't classify them. But hey, look at this. This is what the general did. This is the invasion he wanted to do. At some point, everyone has to stop and think. When did everyone stop thinking? I don't understand that. I mean, it's sense, common sense. Again, the man who would not shut up. I mean, that's my new label, 45. No, that won't work. I can't. No, that won't work. I'm trying to come up with something that we could use as he continues to talk, his verbiage, and I'm just trying to think what would be cute and fun to describe all this.
I don't know. That's a thinker. I mean, he's a criminal, so I don't know.
Well,
Twice
I mean,
impeached. I don't know.
he's twice impeached. He's indicted twice, civilly convicted for allegedly violating someone's rights, who is also going back and suing him again. He's awaiting, there are possibly 2 more indictments coming down the road against him. I just don't know. I mean, when does he finally get his comeuppance? Because
Possibly
you know what?
never, unfortunately. That's
I mean,
always a possibility.
his karma is being built up so big. I'm like, how are you standing the pressure? When is the final draw gonna make him pop? And we see him rail. He has not done that angry Donald Trump rail yet. He's done the PR, he's running for president, blah, blah, blah. And I
Yeah.
mean, he's leading in the polls, which I still don't understand that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you know what? I just got something. And it's funny because now Donald Trump, remember E. Jean Carroll and how she won, that lawsuit? Now Donald Trump is suing her for defamation.
what?
Yeah, I can't make this stuff up.
On what? He keeps defending
Trump
her.
alleged that Carroll defamed him when she appeared on CNN the morning after the jury awarded her $5 million in damages. Carroll was asked about the verdict, finding Trump sexually abused Carroll but did not rape her, As she alleged, Carroll said, "Oh yes, he did."
Well, she would know.
Yeah, yeah. I can't make this stuff up,
I mean,
folks.
and on top of that, why is he suing for defamation? He
I,
was found guilty.
yeah, I don't
Civilly, I
know.
mean, civilly, he was found guilty. That's a lot. You're paying
Yeah,
her for a jury of your peers found you guilty of violating her. Come on.
I
Can't
don't
make
know.
this stuff up.
Yeah, you
Okay. I
can't.
mean, it's Truth
Okay,
is
we
stranger than fiction. I mean, that's the reason why, that's probably as a writer, I can't write fiction because truth is so real. And you just got to have that popcorn moment and be like, for real? Is that really going on? Is that? So, anyway, so
yeah.
moving from the absurd to the unbelievable, it's the Reds, the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, they're doing so well.
Oh my God. Do you know how long it's I now have to go buy a jersey. I've always had I'm a Reds fan. I've always had a hat. I've attended baseball games off and on over the years, even when there were barely anyone in the audience. But I'm happy to see them winning again. Ellie De La Cruz is the guy, the man,
Oh yeah.
um, who has lifted the Reds. I mean, he's barely been there, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and has changed the attitude of the team. And, he's a young man who basically was like, let's do this. And he is not letting any dirt stay underneath his feet. He is moving and cruising and delivering left and right. And you have to think that the owners, the Castellini family, is very, very happy that they have a full stadium again. I mean,
Yeah.
I have not seen that stadium filled except for when the opposing teams, the favorite opposing teams were coming into play. I have not seen that stadium filled for the Reds. It's unbelievable.
I know, it's amazing.
It's amazing. And also now, I mean, I saw someone had on the new red jerseys, the black and red ones yesterday. And I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, I like that. I'm going to have to go get one. I'm really going to have to go get one. So go Reds, keep doing it. I mean, really, truly, we'll see, because isn't it almost time for the All-Star game?
Yeah, it is.
Because usually they do pretty well, get to the All-Star game, and then after the All-Star game, they peter out or they'll continue. So I'm holding my breath until after the All-Star game, because that's All-Star game is middle of the season. And then I want to see what the run is to the playoffs. Because I mean, I heard people talking about the playoffs the other day, and I'm like, we're not there yet. As we get closer to fall, like at the end of July, I'll be like, okay, where are we? So, because I mean, I even shocked my sister when I said, we're number one in our division. Then we dropped from number one, but we were number one for a minute. She went, what? Really? So, though, I feel sorry for the Mets, because the Mets are now where the Reds used to be. So
Yeah.
kind of sad, but anyway.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, but I'm hopeful for the Reds, the Great American Ballpark. I'm gonna have to break down and go get a ticket and go enjoy an afternoon of watching baseball and watch the guys spit, chew some tobacco, and do their thing. And
Yeah, you know what? I might have to go to game two, probably.
yeah, I'm gonna hear a good round, or take me out to the ball game, eat some peanuts and popcorn, and have a
Yeah.
good cold one.
Yeah.
That's the Cincinnati right. And
Yeah.
I mean, as part of it, I mean, there are two things that are, well, no, three things that are truly Cincinnati. No, four things: baseball, football, cheese conies,
Mm-hmm.
and beer,
Yeah. I agree with
or the
that.
chicken dance, whichever
Yeah,
one comes.
little chicken dance.
So and I think, that as a native Cincinnatian, we are very much a sports town, and we're ingrained for Reds and Bengals. So, we have to do that rite of passage, at least get one game in, go down there, see it, smell it, enjoy it, maybe buy a souvenir, and go from there. So those are the Reds.
Yep.
So then from the Reds, oh, you know what I didn't talk about when I talked about Trump? That's my bag. Is
What?
what happened in Russia.
Oh, yeah, some shit went down in Russia.
You know,
Excuse my language.
no. That's some deep stuff. I mean, you have to commend, I'm gonna butcher that guy's name.
That's okay.
I don't want
Well,
to
well,
butcher his name.
we just call it the leader of the Wagner group.
Yeah, the leader of the Wagner group. That we're gonna go there. You know what? He has some deep cojones.
Oh yeah.
He really does. And the fact that he walked away with his life in Belarus
Yeah.
without Putin doing anything, I just have one thing to say. What does he have on Putin, or what did Putin pay him?
Mm,
Because his army's still intact.
yeah.
And they got within 125 miles of Moscow. Now, he
Yeah.
claims he wasn't trying to overthrow the government. He claimed
Yeah.
that the people weren't with him, so he turned around, though there were negotiations. But I think there's a bigger picture going on, that people know how Putin works, but they had to do something drastic to show the world how weak Putin really is.
Yeah.
And even though now he's blowing stuff up and doing all the things to show that, yes, I'm a strong leader, blah, 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 pound his chest, really and truly, he's not. And even though he's going to replace a few folks here and there, he still is surrounded by yes people.
Mm-hmm.
Did not tell him the truth. So there's that. But anyway, so we're going to keep on top of Russia, because you just never know what's going to happen next. Because also the other thing hanging out there is China and Taiwan, and what's going to happen with China, Taiwan, Russia, Ukraine, on the borders of Ukraine, Poland, and Belarus, and there's one more I'm thinking of, how they're going to react going into the winter months of all that's going on. So it's going to be interesting. So
Yeah. It should
again,
definitely be interesting.
we have to watch this. So there was an interesting thing that happened Sunday night, was the BET Awards. It was a wonderful tribute to hip hop.
Yeah, because we're still continuing this 50 years of hip hop.
Okay, number one, the fact that hip hop is 50 years old hurts me. Just the fact that I was in college when hip hop emerged, and I'm a huge house music fan.
Right.
And I was upset that this new music was disrupting my house music, and everyone was playing it and listened to it, and all that type of stuff. And I was like, oh my God. But it's amazing. It's 50 years old. The impact it has had on the world, on the music industry. And it was wonderful to see, all the old greats performing last night, and heard about the tribute to Ludacris. Patti LaBelle did a tribute to Tina Turner, even though there was a mistake made in the middle of it. But overall, where was the fashion police for BET? Now, as I was telling you earlier, I'm trying to go into my older years gracefully as a dirty old woman. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have to change that, because someone said I was a cougar. So dirty old cougar. Okay, just get it right. Some of the wardrobe that I saw, where were the people? Women lost their damn minds. I mean, they were showing stuff that I was like, what is this? I didn't know. I don't want to use a word. I really don't. But they're celebrities. They pushed the envelope, and they really pushed it that night. Woo! I don't know what to say. I'm sure you enjoyed parts of it.
I mean, you know what? My favorite part of the show was honestly the Busta Rhymes tribute,
Yeah.
because I love Busta Rhymes. I can't quite understand what he's saying all the time because he raps so fast, but I love his music. He's one of my favorite hip hop artists. So, and to see him get a Lifetime Achievement Award, that was amazing. In fact, like literally before the show, I was making a Busta Rhymes playlist so I could listen to it later.
Mm. Mm. I mean, it's amazing to see who has come through the hip hop generation,
Yeah.
and who has made it, who hasn't, who has turned their beginnings in hip hop into something else. Ice-T, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Run DMC, who am I thinking of? The actor who was the slap around the world.
Oh, Will Smith. Yeah, back
Will
when he was a
Smith.
Fresh
I
Prince.
mean,
Yeah.
Fresh Prince. He began in hip. Everyone who began in hip hop and has moved on. It's wonderful to see the genre has aged well. Even though I still don't like the lyrics and a lot of the music, it has aged well. And I think it's wonderful that it is incorporated into the music industry and the lexicon and things like that. So I'm very happy for the BET Awards and hip hop and everything else. But can we just get some fashion police up in there? Because those women need some damn respect. I don't care if they're
uh,
celebrities, they need some self-respect. Because
uh.
they were showing stuff that even the most risque woman would be showing that stuff. Ooh, no. Just I was like, who was styling you? Because they were not styling you right. They must have been hate you awful to allow you to wear what they wore. And you said yes. That's the shame on the stylist and the shame on them. So
uh.
anyway, that being said, as I end the chocolate news report, Cincinnati is being invaded by, I think they're called the Swifties. Is
Yeah,
that what they're called?
that's what they're called, the Swifties.
The Swifties. We're being invaded by the Swifties. Taylor Swift is bringing her tour here. From what I understand, this is the only stop in the tri-state region
Yeah.
that she's going to be here. So everyone is going to descend upon Cincinnati. Those who are going to be camping out to hear the music will be camping out along Bank Street, along in the Banks area.
Right.
They're shutting down streets.
Yeah.
Folks will be all over the place. You got the Reds, you got Taylor Swift. I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna lose our damn minds. And the impact of
Yeah.
the economy, all the hotels are sold out.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like
I mean,
you know what? Right now, I wish I had an Airbnb because it's because I live like because I live like close to I live about maybe like what, like 5-6 minute drive to downtown. We're making
yes.
serious bank right now. So all these Airbnbs that are close to downtown Cincinnati, I know they're making bank right now.
Well, I mean, but think about this. Taylor Swift is doing two shows.
Yeah.
You got FC Cincinnati match coming on.
Yeah.
You have the bluegrass concert at the Andrew J. Brady Music Center,
Yeah.
and you've got two Red games going on all at the same time in the
Yeah.
downtown area.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm already plotting because I have to go down for pre-planning of a project that we're doing the Duke that I'm participating in the Duke Energy Center. I'm already
Hmm.
plotting out where I'm going to park without too much difficulty
Right.
on Friday. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm trying not to get anywhere near the stadium, the Paycor Stadium. I'm trying to stay away from all that traffic. And I'm like, oh my God. So
I know it's gonna be crazy. Like I said, I'm gonna avoid downtown this weekend like the plague. The closest I'm going is to Kenwood. So
yes. I mean, it basically I'm gonna stay away. Luckily I'll just do other things this weekend, to enjoy the 4th of July weekend, find some red, white, and blue to wear and all that type of stuff. But
oh yeah.
I mean, Taylor
And
Swift, I'm not a huge fan of Taylor Swift. She does have some nice pop songs and everything else, but I'm I listen, I've heard of it, but I'm not a true Swiftie. So,
yeah.
but you know what? I'm happy for Cincinnati. I'm happy for our economy. The fact that we got a major pop star coming here and playing Cincinnati, that puts us on the map for other bigger shows now
Oh yes, most
like that.
definitely.
So I think that's fantastic. I'm just, but that's it for the chocolate news this week.
Yeah. But also I want to say is like make sure you follow the city of Cincinnati on Twitter because they have like a good breakdown of what streets are closed and what's open and stuff. So that's I think I would just recommend that. If you are a Swifty and you listen to this podcast, go follow them on Twitter because it's actually really helpful.
Yeah, really and truly, I saw the signs for a couple of them. Everything around the banks will be shut down. And I would say, really and truly, just count on everything below 4th Street. You can't get there by car.
Yeah.
I mean, or unless you have already prepaid your garage, your spot for in the garages, I would just say find a parking spot and walk in,
Yeah.
or park and take the what is it, the That thing that goes around the city, the trolley.
Oh, what? Why can't I think of it? The streetcar.
Streetcar, take the
Yeah.
streetcar down, because that's going to be your best bet. Real and truly, because the way they're talking, the folks who are going to be camping out and wanting to listen to not just one but both shows, it's going to be a huge mess.
Oh yeah.
But you know
But
what? It's going to be interesting to see, because police are on alert. They've been preparing for this. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
hmm
And, I would just say be careful, be aware, be safe, have a good time,
oh
and
yeah.
don't do anything stupid. But there's going to be a lot of drunk people out there.
Yeah. And also folks, just explore the city a little bit. Maybe, get in some local food because there are a lot of great restaurants downtown. So
Oh,
people
yes.
should definitely take advantage of that.
Oh, I think so. I mean, we have a lot of great beer halls,
Yeah.
pubs,
Yep.
um, especially along, there are great bars on Main Street, and there's great food places on Vine Street that
Yeah.
they should take advantage of.
Oh
And
yeah.
my favorites are the what is that place with the serve the tacos? I can't think of it, but it's like early, the like we go back.
Uh,
Taste of Belgium is on there.
yeah, Taste of Belgium.
The taco
Uh,
place.
yeah.
Um,
My one of my favorites is the level one bar plus arcade. Now
mm,
I'm not really a drinker, but I just honestly just go there just to play the arcade games.
I like Sacred Beast because they have a great bourbon collection down there.
Yeah. Hmm.
But across the street from Sacred Beast is Nostalgia, that nice bar. That's a wonderful bar. Again, they have a nice collection of both wine and hard liquor. And then next door to it is the black restaurant.
Right.
What is it? Sweet? No, Soul Secrets. It's there. And then, but also there's that Italian restaurant also within that area across from Sacred Beast. Is that Italian restaurant is very good as well.
Okay.
So there's some
Andrea,
good.
now that we're talking about this, we definitely need to do a show and just talk about like some of the best restaurants and bars downtown Cincinnati. So I'm going to put that on our list.
Yes, because there's a couple of new ones opening up that I have not gotten to. I'm gonna have to do a walk through Cincinnati on the bars and
Yeah.
on the restaurants, because there's some new ones that have popped up that I have not had a chance to try. Because when people look at me, they're like, "What's your favorite?" I mean, I was sad when Mercer restaurant shut down, because I
Yeah.
loved Mercer. I like Via Vite on Fountain Square. That is one of my favorites. That is the sister restaurant to Nicola's on Sycamore Street. Both are my favorite of Italian food. One is more fine dining than the other, but if you sit at the bar, you can experience both very, very well. There's a lot of restaurants that I have done their bar and eaten their bar food, and the bar food is fabulous. The restaurant is good.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I've experienced a lot of restaurants, is their bar.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's just Cincinnati has a nice eclectic mix of restaurants downtown that are fantastic. And there's a couple of new smaller pub style ones. And like there's that French restaurant that opened up, that French place where they do bread and cakes and stuff and croissants.
Ooh, fancy.
That's on 4th Street. And then there's a Korean chicken place that just opened up on 4th Street as well. And there's one other thing that's opened up on 4th Street. And then there's a nice wine bar that I like on 4th Street that I believe is still open. And they have a nice smooth vibe at night that you can sit and talk with your friends and hang out and just get a great cocktail mix. But I can't remember the name of it, but it's in one of the former bank buildings.
Gotcha.
Is really, really good. So yeah, we have to do that show,
Oh
because
yeah.
Cincinnati, we don't talk about it much, but Cincinnati has a great music industry, a great bar industry. And you just need to know where to go and hit the highlights. So we'll have to
Yeah.
do that.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, let's jump into the main topic of the day, and that is the OTR International Film Festival. And actually, today we have with us film critic TT Stern Enzi to talk about it. How you doing today, TT?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
I am doing just fine, trying to survive this air quality. Oh,
Mm,
it was
yes.
terrible. Now, the OTR festival, or I should say the Over the Rhine festival, is coming up very soon, isn't it?
Yes, it'll be July 6th through the 8th. Really looking forward to it. We've got lots going on. The 7th and the 8th are going to be just packed days of screenings, almost nonstop from fairly early in the morning. I think both days will start sometime between 10 and noon,
Oh,
and we will
wow.
have screenings that will run through probably just close to about 11 o'clock each night.
Oh, okay, awesome. Now, what is the Over the Rhine International Film Festival exactly?
Well, we actually started as Real Ability Cincinnati. Um, Lad, who is the organizer of the festival, has been around for, I believe, close to 50 years now. They support people with developmental disabilities.
Hmm.
And part of the mission was to see if there are ways to, again, kind of go beyond that general support that you can provide in terms of housing or employment, but really to find ways to kind of open the community's eyes to the different stories and the different things that can come out of the interactions with the disability community, and the disability community becoming a bigger part of sort of the mainstream uh, social fabric of like the regional community. So they decided to do a film festival. Had the opportunity. They did that, I believe, starting in 2011. Did it
Okay.
every other year, and the focus was really on finding stories that were spotlighting people of various abilities who were, kind of out in the world, whether they were engaged in sports activities or just finding themselves and their own identities. We brought those stories in, and I was fortunate enough as a film critic, um, I believe back in 2015 and 2017, to have the chance to cover the festival for City Beat. So it was a great opportunity for me to kind of learn a little bit about what they were trying to do. Um, and again, for a city that didn't necessarily have, really a major film festival, it was really nice to have this festival that was kind of spotlighting disability. Um, but that was kind of it up to that point. So after they did the festival in 2017, the LAD team decided to host some community forums to figure out if there was a way to expand the scope of what they were doing. So moving beyond disability, and they kind of settled on the idea that they wanted to see about really incorporating uh, the disability community into a larger conversation that was just starting to take place within the film industry in terms of looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion. So they ended up rebranding. We came up with the Over the Rhine International Film Festival, and back in 2018, they reached out to me and kind of asked me if I'd be willing to work with them as a programmer at that point. Um, and again, I had close to 20 years of being a critic. I've been to festivals. I had never programmed anything like that, but I was like, I see a lot of stuff, and I probably have some contacts that might be helpful. So I was like, sure, let me roll up my sleeves and see what I can do. Because again, I really appreciated the idea of that overall mission of sort of finding ways to, largely what 2 or 3 years ago we would have talked about intersectionality. And I think that was the important thing that kind of roped me in, because it was the idea of seeing the world and seeing stories that are being told. And as a Black man who's a film critic, that was an important aspect of it for me, because I could definitely see and think about things from the perspective as a Black person who watches film and doesn't always feel that we have been represented in the ways that we should have been.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I kind of feel like, yeah, if I can see what we have been able to do as a community in the industry to find ways to spotlight our own stories, to tell our own stories, and to get them out there, it's like, well, yeah, there's an opportunity to kind of learn from that and take that experience and then apply it to the disability community, but then also look at the LGBTQ community, religious communities, all of these identity groups who are also all trying to figure this out too. But it was just that the important part of that is if everyone's only doing it in their own little silos, then we don't get to learn from each other. We don't get to sort of be able to say, well, okay, how did you figure this out? How did you figure out ways to tell your own stories and to tell them in a way that you're going to reach a broader audience? So I think that was the challenge that inspired me, and believe that's the challenge that kind of inspires everyone that is a part of the festival team.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that because, like, when I look at the major film festivals like Sundance, Tribeca, Cannes, Venice Film Festival, all those big ones, it's like you're right. It's like they're just big, but they really don't focus on, like smaller niche groups. So I'm so glad that,
Mhm.
this film festival exists. My question is like, what are your duties? Because you're the artistic director of the film festival.
I am, yes.
Yeah, so what are your duties in organizing and just doing this film festival in general?
Yeah, I think in large part I'm kind of seen as the film guy.
Gotcha.
The community as a whole kind of sees and appreciates that. I'm a film critic with Fox 19. I've written for, City Beat here, Dayton City Paper. I've done segments and continue to do segments on WVHU. And again, everything I do is always talking about film. Um, and having that experience and being a member of Critics' Choice. So that is kind of, I guess, if you will, that the ground level of my focus. It's really about making sure that we find ways to use the services that are available to us to get the best films that we can have to consider and select to bring in for the festival, but then also using my contacts in the industry, whether with PR firms or distributors or even studios, to sort of say, well, hey, we've got a great community here that's really interested in and wants to learn more about film, wants to see more. So yeah, I'm kind of reaching out and sort of saying, well, yeah, bring your films to Cincinnati. We can hopefully find that audience that you want to reach, here, and help you do that. And again, it gives us a chance to again put sort of spotlight some of those really great stories. So I lead the programming team as part of that. I'm also fortunate enough, again, OTR is in our name, and I believe at this stage I'm the only member of the team who actually lives down in OTR. So
Really? Oh, wow.
yeah, I live in Pendleton, which is a hop, skip, and a jump away from really just across Sycamore into OTR proper.
Right.
I spend a lot of time, at the restaurants and checking things out in the OTR community. So this is really an opportunity for me to also be able to share and connect with a lot of the really great businesses and the people running those businesses here too. That we are so excited to have the opportunity to kind of find ways to bring and incorporate them into what we're doing. And we do it during the festival, but we've also the last couple of years had the chance to do some year-round programming as well. So that's another opportunity to kind of keep the festival focus and the festival name out there. And like I said, yeah, I feel like to a certain extent I'm kind of a cheerleader both for the festival and the community, but I'm also a cheerleader for our festival and also the city as well, because I still go to other film festivals. We use a lot of festivals to curate titles that we're going to bring in to kind of fill out our slate if we don't get as much as certain types of films that we want during the submission process. We use Toronto, Sundance, South by Southwest. We either go virtually or we go in person attending those festivals. And while I'm there, a big part of my job is to really be able to kind of represent us and talk about what we're trying to do here in terms of, again, making sure that disability is highlighted and spotlighted in a way that, that everyone gets to learn and appreciate the community and the stories, because we've seen festivals, unfortunately, even as early as this year, that have had issues because they haven't necessarily always thought about the disability community and how accessible they as festivals can be to all of the members of their audiences that are coming to check out their films and their events. So I'm not going to say that we do that perfectly, but we are incredibly mindful about that. And again, that's because again, LAD, that is their mission, and we've adapted and adopted that mission into what we do as a film festival. And it's been great to have that as sort of a guiding principle for me as an artistic director. Like that, again, that gives us some weight as we are really kind of going through and picking films and trying to figure out events. And like I said, part of the deal is you're not just showing a film; you're making sure that you have panels with either filmmakers or content experts that are from the community or beyond who can talk about the themes of those films. So we do a lot of that work. I'm involved in a lot of that. Like I said, I'm also involved with, trying to figure out ways that we can establish those relationships that, again, that we can continue to take advantage of throughout the year, not just during the 3 days of the festival. So that's a little part of what I do.
Okay.
I'm also on hand. This is the second year now that we're going to have a morning series called Breakfast with TT,
Oh, okay.
where it's kind of a fun talk show. It's kind of like a late night talk show format. It's me at a desk. We have a couch and some chairs that are set up, and we bring in the filmmakers or the VIPs and talent from films that happen to be in for the festival. And it's an opportunity to sit down with them and, kind of talk about what they're doing, why they tell the stories they tell. We sprinkle in a little fun along the way too, but really it's just an opportunity for, people who attend the festival who see the films can also come to this breakfast series and have a chance to hear about the filmmakers a little bit more intimately. Maybe decide for themselves, hey, I just heard about this filmmaker who's coming in. I saw them at breakfast. I want to go see their film later today. So it's a great opportunity to kind of promote the filmmakers as well. And like I said, yeah, I'm also always eager to take filmmakers around, be a guide, and show them our great city, which I can't speak highly enough for. Like I said, I've been here over 20 years now. When I first got here, I didn't think I was going to be here that long, but
Yeah.
I've really embraced the idea of celebrating what we're trying to build here, especially in the film community itself. We've got a really strong community of folks who are telling their stories, getting them out, representing the region really well. And, I love that we have the opportunity each year to spotlight a few of those stories and then also bring in stories from filmmakers from all over the world.
Yeah, most definitely. Like 20 years ago, I would never guess Cincinnati would have been like a strong, city that embraced film. But here we are in
Hmm.
2023. We've had a number of films shot here, like Carol. So it's really I love how Cincinnati's, slowly becoming a beacon for film. But speaking of that, um, Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez are hosting a panel at the film festival. Am I correct about that?
Yes, they are. They are going to do an event Friday evening, and I'll have the chance to sit down with them and kind of talk about their careers, their connections to the region. I think most people know, obviously, that Martin Sheen is originally from Dayton.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a chance for, again, to hear a little bit more about his story, his journey, and also Emilio's, who now lives here.
Oh, does
And
he live
as you
here?
mentioned, I believe he spent some time here.
Oh,
And again,
wow.
yes, we know he's, the public, uh, which I believe came out um, maybe 7 years ago now, 5, 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he shot that, at the public library, as a matter of fact, which was, kind of a great spotlight for our downtown core, the library system here, which is really strong. So yeah, we have events like that are going to take place during the festival. We also have partnered with Lynn Myers with Ensemble Theater. Um, she helps us. She's obviously like a casting agent throughout the region here. So obviously, whenever film productions are coming to town and they're looking for talent, she's able to help them find local talent. So we set up an open casting call each year, or have in the last few years, working with her, so that we can make sure that people with disabilities have the chance to get into that database. So we're going to do that Thursday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay.
Everyone can sign up for an opportunity to have headshots taken, put in, I guess, a little video clip that ends up in that database that then like I said, when those productions come in and they're looking for folks, they can, kind of pull up your information, and you have the chance to potentially get cast. And we've got some really great success stories that have come out of this partnership that we've done, specifically this open casting call that we've done with them. So I'm really excited that we had the chance to do those kinds of things that also complement, like I said, the film side of things. Because we're going to have, I believe at this stage, we've got over 20, 23 to 25 film blocks, and
Wow.
over 50 films that are going to play. And a lot of those films will have Q&As with panels or filmmakers who happen to be coming into town. That's the stuff that you would expect from a festival, though. Like you go, you're going to see the films. They're always going to give you some programming around the films. We'll have parties and events as well. But I think it's that other stuff besides the films. You need the parties, you need the events, you need the open casting call, you need the special kind of interviews that will just pop up. That it really helps to kind of let people in the region know that this is what, if you go to a bigger city, you go to a bigger film festival, you see those kinds of things all the time. I want people to come to our festival and see what we're doing here, and really appreciate the fact that we're trying to give them the same kind of experience that you would get if you went to a festival in New York or in Toronto or anywhere else. We can put on those kinds of events and have a really great time too.
Yeah, of course. Now, do studios actually come in and buy the distribution rights for the film? Because I know that's what they do in some festivals, especially like Sundance. Like studios will see the films and say, "I want to buy your film for like $5 million and stuff." Does that happen at the Over-the-Rhine
Yeah,
International Film Festival?
that's probably like a few years down the road for us at this stage.
Okay, all
We're
right.
we are not necessarily a buyer's market in that way, although I have a lot of respect, and I believe we've done a really great job of, like I said, through our submission process, getting those films from around the world. We're able to really spotlight some great films here. We just aren't necessarily bringing in, international press or distributors or studios that are looking to buy films like that yet. But we do have some really great relationships with some distributors that have been very helpful over the last few years in terms of allowing us to screen some higher profile titles. I think most people know from 2021 that we were one of only two festivals that screened Coda
Really?
that year.
I had no idea.
Yeah, Coda played it in Sundance at the beginning of that year. Our programming team, I believe I saw it. I can't remember if anyone else from our team saw it there, but I saw it virtually and was kind of like, wow, that's a film that fits right in. It fits like a glove within our mission, because it was a story about a young woman and her family, her family was deaf. She wanted to be a singer. It was perfect. And Apple was they bought it, but they were still very new on the streaming side in terms of trying to figure out how they wanted to kind of get the story out there. And I reached out to them because I've covered Apple shows and movies for a while. And I was like, well, hey, this fits our festival. I'd love to see if we could bring it in. And they trusted us enough to give it to us. And like I said, it played Sundance and it played here before it ended up airing on Apple on their streaming service. And then, it went on that run during award season, ended up winning, 3 Oscars that year, including Best Picture. So we've been able to kind of, build relationships like that with a streamer like Apple. We have a really great film that we're bringing in this year, The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, which is an
Oh
IFC
yeah,
title.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and I've been working with IFC for 20 years as a critic. And
Wow.
I went to my rep there a couple of years ago, and I was like, hey, like I'm coming to you in a different role, in a different position. I'm not coming as a critic. I'm coming as someone who works at the festival and it's an artistic director, and I'd love to see if we could program some of your films. And they gave us a chance. We got a couple of their films last year during the festival. I think they also gave us a title or two more after that for year-round programming. And they would help us bring filmmakers in to support those films. And we've done the best we could to really impress those filmmakers who come in with, you know, the audience that we have here and the engagement that we have as a festival. And IFC was just like, well, yeah, we want to continue working with you guys too. So that's been really great. Like I said, they're giving us the Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, and I know that in the future we will get other titles from them. And I'm sure that as we continue growing, we will get, you know, get in touch and make better connections and with other streamers and other studios, and eventually, to get back to your initial question, yeah, somewhere down the road, I would say within the next 5 years, we very well could be in a position where, yeah, maybe some of those folks who are giving us titles finally come in, see the festival, and maybe they do see something from the submitted side from a filmmaker, you know, in Argentina or Paris or Spain, wherever they're from, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, that's a title that we'd love to have on our streaming service." And you know, then we see it a couple times. It happens more. That's how you build those kinds of connections and relationships. So we're at the very early stages of that, but like I said, I would just say, just expect that sometime in the next 5 to 10 years that we might be getting a little closer to being that kind of festival that brings people in to buy some of the films that we have here.
No, that's definitely very exciting. Now, I also wanted to ask you, like, how do you guys decide the winner of the festival? Because I know you guys have like several categories, like best narrative film,
Mhm.
documentary. Do you guys have like a whole panel of judges that decide like which film should win, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's funny. That's another part of my role as artistic director. Each year, look at the categories that we have, depending on the films that we get in. You know, there are certain categories, certain years that we may not get, for instance, a narrative feature film because we just didn't get that many submissions in that particular category. But you're right, we have documentary short, documentary feature, student films, and then narrative shorts, and also narrative features potentially. Again, like I said, that's one category that we don't necessarily get a
Yeah,
lot of films that are
yeah,
part of that.
yeah.
But in the other categories, what we do is I find and set up three-person juries for those categories, and we'll usually have somewhere between 4 and 6 titles in each category that are up for consideration for the award for that particular grouping. And yeah, I make sure that the jurors have the opportunity to see the films in advance. They rank their top three, um, and depending on how their ranked scores go, if we have a tie or something like that, I can always send it back to them for sort of a Zoom call, if you will, where they can, you know, kind of debate things a little more and really land on a, you know, one final title. Or sometimes we just end up with a tie. I think we had that happen last year in the narrative short category.
Okay.
But yeah, it's that those jurors are kind of from all over the place, and that's really that's another fun part of kind of letting people know about what we're doing here. I mix up those category juries. There's usually at least one or two people from, you know, the region who may be a part of it, who were involved in the arts or in film in some way. Um, but then I also kind of reach out and I'll pull in critics that I know from other parts of the country, or, you know, filmmakers who've participated in the festival in the past. I'll ask a filmmaker if they would love to serve on a jury for us. Or, you know, I have this year in particular, there's, I don't want to mention this person by name, but there's an art gallery that I go to every year in Toronto during the
Hmm.
Toronto Film Festival. And one of the owner's son who works at the gallery is a huge fan of
Okay.
film. And I've talked to him over the years at their events during the festival. And then last year in particular, I was just like, you should be a juror for us. And he's like, well, yeah, I'd be willing to do it if you want me to. He's like, I'm like, yeah, then we should make that happen.
Yeah.
So I roped him in, and there's a chance he might actually come down from Toronto for the
Wow.
festival, you know, you know, to be able to come in and participate a little more and to see what we're doing here, which would
Yeah.
be lovely for me because again, like I said, it's my role as a cheerleader. I have looked at what Toronto has done and what his Family's Gallery has done as a part, even though they aren't an official partner of the film festival, they are a partner in that city and they do some really great stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I'm learning from what you guys are doing up there. I'm trying to bring some of that down here. So I'm kind of like, well, why not just go to the source and bring him in, have him participate in this process. So I try to find people like that all over the country, even all over the world, just to say, yeah, this is a chance for you to see what we're doing, see the kind of films that we're bringing in, and if you can come in, you can see it even better. You can see it in person. So yeah, we do that, and we give out awards, and largely, unfortunately, we had a situation where if it's an international filmmaker who wasn't able to get here, they get awards, but don't necessarily get to, you wouldn't think that they would get the chance to really speak to the audience here. But we also, because we do all of this stuff up front before the festival, we're able to let winners know and sometimes get, videotaped acceptance speeches from them that we can play during the festival, during the awards show, so that people can appreciate, not just this, the filmmaker's work, but actually hear their words of appreciation for being a part of our festival and what we've got going on here.
Yeah, most definitely. So I'm about to wrap it up. I just got one more question though.
Okay.
Well, I was getting ready to say something. Oh, so can you still get tickets for the festival? They're not sold out
Oh,
yet?
yes. Oh, yes. You can most certainly get tickets. If you go to otrfilmfest.org, that is our main page for the festival. You'll find the ticket option there. You click on that, it'll run you through the entire schedule. I mentioned before we've got more than 50 films that will be playing this year. Got some really interesting standout titles. I've already mentioned The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. We have, our opening night film this year is OK, the ASD band movie, which is this incredible story. It's a documentary out of Toronto, out of Canada. I
Mm,
was going to say Toronto. I think it might be Toronto, but it's out of Canada. And it's about a group of musicians who kind of came together. They are all on the autism spectrum,
mm,
had been, making music on their own. Someone that knew them all kind of brought them together and said, hey, why don't you guys get together and kind of jam and see what you think? And they went from jamming a few times to thinking, well, hey, maybe we can make an album. And
yeah.
the documentary is kind of the process of watching them kind of go from just meeting each other and getting their individual stories to seeing them work together to create an album that they have now, been able to go on the road, both with the film and with their music, to go to festivals, share their story, share their music. And I'm really excited and honored because that's going to be our opening night film this year.
Yeah.
And the band is going to be here.
Oh, okay.
They're going to be here, July 6th at Music Hall that evening. And yeah, they're going to perform.
Okay.
So that's another one of those things that you only get at a film festival. So that's an event that I'm really excited about that we're doing. Um, we've got a lot that we're going to be showcasing opening night, not just that film, but we have some of the talent from the film Champions that are coming in that will be helping us to MC that entire evening.
Right,
Um,
right.
it'll be an amazing time and a great way to kick things off. And again, it kind of speaks to again who we are as a festival, that focus on disability, getting those stories out and sharing the fun and the breadth of the experiences that you can have within a particular community. Um, like I said, we're going to do that. We've got some local films that'll play. It's yeah, we're covering a pretty wide gamut. Tickets are available. Um, if and I always tell people this anytime when I talk about the festival and what's going on, I will be walking about a lot. I'll be at events doing panels every once in a while. But if you see me on the street, July 6th through the 8th, come up to me, ask me questions. I'll tell you what's going on that day. I'll tell you where I'm headed. If you want to follow me to a film, to a venue, yeah, feel free because we're at the Art Academy, the Woodward, and the CAC those are our three primary venues. We're also doing one screening at the Freedom Center. Like I said, we're going to have opening night at Music Hall. And we'll just be all throughout OTR. Like there's a chance if you see me, I may be walking with filmmakers who were in town or VIPs who are coming to represent their films. So
Okay.
again, if people see me and you see me with a group of people, don't be afraid or be shy about coming up and saying hello, because I will probably end up introducing you to some of the amazing people who are coming into the city, because I want those amazing people to meet the amazing people here.
Gotcha.
So yeah, this is what it's all about. It's going to be a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, all of that is really just about kind of getting back to this sense of, disability and diversity and inclusion, but it's about kind of finding ways to appreciate our shared humanity. Um, and film and these kinds of events are the best way to do that.
Gotcha. Well, all that sounds fantastic. So, folks, tickets are still on sale. If you want to experience some original film, make sure you get your tickets right now. I want to thank you so much, TT, for coming on. It's always a pleasure when you come on our little podcast. It greatly appreciate it.
Well, hey, in this case, I always thank you for you asking me to come on, but this for something like this is even bigger. This is a great opportunity to be able to share, connect with your listeners, and let them know what we're doing at the film festival. So thank you for giving me the chance to do that.
All right, no problem. And folks, I'll make sure to put the ticket link in our bio. Oh, and one more thing. Where can people follow you at on social media and then like find your reviews?
Well, yeah, I'm only on Twitter, and it's
Okay.
at TT Stern NZ is how you can kind of follow me on Twitter. But I actually have a blog that I kind of archive all of my work and everything that I do, and it's terrencetodd.com, TerrenceTodd.com.
Okay. And I'll make sure to put that in the bio too. But once again, thank you so much, TT. Greatly
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's it for today's show. I want to thank Andrea again for all the chocolate news. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Oh, it's my pleasure as always.
And remember, folks, you can find out more information about today's topics and past podcast episodes at www.cincinnatiherald.com, the SES newsletter, or on our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. Our podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Amazon, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. In addition, the Cincinnati Herald is now accepting applications for an advertising representative. Please contact our publisher, Walter White, at 513-680-7076 for more information. I'm John Alexander Reese.
And I'm Andria Carter.
And have a good day.